Hello all and welcome here into round 9 here in Mexico, Tier 3. You're joined by me, WHF Farrell, as we're starting to wheel down in the races remaining left in the championship. It's going to be a very, very exciting race today, where we have a lot of drivers out there competing for what could be the championship. Currently the favourite is NMX James. If we have a look at the standings, he leads the championship as why are they so zoomed in? let's do this one. These should be less zoomed in. There we are. NMX James leads the championship on 175 points ahead of Raheem, Billy and Penguin and Ash and Dubbo, that are realistically the only conceivable drivers who can catch James by the end here. That's going to be interesting to see whether or not any of these drivers can, as Sci-Fi Mega Hype will be the first driver around to set a lap. Thory, if you're listening, just pick a setup and retire in the pit lane, as Sci-Fi will be the first to start a lap ahead of Lil Majin in the Mercedes. Nuki Lad, on debut last time out in the Cyber, ended up being promoted to P1 following a penalty, as Thory retires in the pit lane. But Nuki on debut, as Sci-Fi seems to have already made an error, which will allow Lil Majin through to have a run on his lap. And what can Lil Majin do here in the Mercedes? Has actually reserved here in Tier 2 and had a very good performance. Did a no stop in the wet, and we'll see what Lil Majin can do here in Tier 3. As Thory says, mate, I have a commercial. What's the commercial about? That's what I want to know. As Lil Majin enters the final sector, and can I get it navigated? Really tricky for the drivers on no ABS here to navigate the final sector. But Lil Majin seems to have done it comfortably now, and round the final corner, where can the Mercedes driver go? It'll be a 1:16.2. That's a very good banker to start here, as his Mercedes teammate of Smoke and Ash with a 17.0 crosses the line in behind. Creamy Flaps with a 16.7. We've got Few in behind with a lot of traffic coming round the final corner, as Nuki Lad is retired in the pit lane. Answer cross line. Few up to the line with a 15.9. Nuki Lad has retired from the session and left. I wonder, has he lagged out and it's done the glitch where it unfortunately has immediately retired him because he lagged out, which is very unfortunately. Hopefully he has picked his setup. Hello, there is Nuke Lad, so hopefully he can get back in again. Few has the quickest time though with a 15.9, very strong time for the Aston Martin driver. Sci-Fi out there on another lap in the Alpine. And what can he do on this run? We've also got Real Ashton Armory on his debut here up in P6 in the Williams. That's a 16.8, as Sci-Fi on a flyer here. First driver to leave the box, but invalidated his first run. What can he do in his second run? We've also got the likes of NMX James and Billy and Penguin still yet to set laps. They're high up in the championship, as Sci-Fi is up to P6, as Ash... What? Maybe it was coming into the pit lane or something, but I was like, how has he got a 5-place grid penalty entering the pit lane? That's really strange. Ash gets a 5-place grid penalty in the pit lane. Maybe he was speeding in the pit lane and hit Creamy Flaps, who knows. But that was a very strange one. Anyway, we've got Abe, the Algerian driver, in the V-Carb, just invalidates as he exits turn 11. And his teammate DZ Racer currently P10 as things stand. DZ Racer has 2 poles this season, if I'm not mistaken, as Billion on a lap here, currently P3 in the standings. And where can Billion go in this one? We haven't seen Billion pick up a win this get a win this season, maybe this could be the opportunity. But currently, Few seems to be the favourite 3/10 or just over 2/10 clear of Lil Majin. Ansu with a very strong time of a 16.3. Meanwhile, we've also got James around a lap, but Billion will be the first to complete a lap. RJ up in P4, that's the highest qualifying position we've seen him in, along with Creamy Flaps in P5. As Billion entering the final sector. And Nuki Lad has rejoined, but unfortunately has retired. Hopefully it allowed him to pick his setup, otherwise this is going to be a painful outing for Nuki Lad, despite on debut winning last time out in Brazil. Meanwhile, Billion up to P2 with the 16.007. That is currently the time to beat as NMX James comes up to the line. It's a 16.00. I'm not going to say the next two numbers. Anywho, A54 crossing the line now as he rounds the final corner, as top three very close, separated by under a tenth, is A54 up to P14, and that's not I don't think a representative lap time for Abe. We know he can go a lot quicker than that, as a couple of drivers on their out laps currently. We'll see who's furthest along. It is Majin to set another lap, currently 2 and a bit tenths off pole position here in Mexico in Tier 3, and Majin is still in with a shout of the championship here. A lot needs to go a lot of the drivers' way. Currently James has a strong lead over the rest of the field, and the likes of Billion, Majin, Raheem need a lot to go their way towards the end of the season in order to try and win this title. James does have a strong lead over the rest of the field, currently sitting at 44 points over Raheem. So even if James were to DNF, he would still have a strong lead over the rest of the field here. So I think James, if he just keeps it consistent, make sure he finishes every race until the end of the season, he should be looking at a championship here in WHF Tier 3. And will certainly be moving up next season to WHF Tier 2 or even Tier 1. As Majin entering the final sector now. Where can the Mercedes driver go? We've seen the Mercedes recently unveiled yesterday. It looks quick. I mean, you can't really tell from a livery if it looks quick, but all the rumours tell us that it's very quick, as Majin does improve, but is 4 thousandths behind NMX James. As Creamy Flaps up to P5. That's a terrific lap from the Aston Martin driver. Currently, one of his best performances here in WHF so far is DZ Racer with a P6, a 16.235. And Creamy Flaps literally debuted back in Hungary and is already on the pace with the rest of the drivers. His progression has been lovely to see. He's improved so fast. So great to see. Meanwhile, Raheem in the McLaren on a lap. He was one of the early season favourites. And can Raheem refine his form? He's currently a 10th down exiting Sector 1. But I'm sure Raheem has loads of time left in this lap. But can he find it is the question. As Few also on a lap. Let me try and find where Few is. This is a big mistake from Raheem, and it allows Few a bit of clear track ahead now. Oh, and a big wobble from Few, and around the Aston Martin driver goes, just about keeping it out of the walls with that big snap. Thankfully survives as DZ Racer cutting the track. Ansu in P7. And the Red Bull driver yet to score some significant points this season. And currently up in P7. This would be his best finish as he's big skate to the rear, round the final corner, up to the line. It's a 16.1 for Ansu. Brilliant lap there. But just gotta think he may have even had pole there if he hadn't have messed up the final corner so bad. Got so squirrely in the rear. And I think, honestly, pole was on there for Ansu. A lot of drivers here really sniffing around the pole position. 3/10 separate P1 and P7. It is very close here. Pole could go anyone's way, it seems. Excuse me, as got a couple drivers on a lap. Ashton into the box. Ash going to try and get as high up in the order as he can, because he still has to deal with this 5-place grid penalty, which didn't seem like he deserved it. And for those of you who haven't seen the Alpine livery reveal for the 2026 car, this is what it looks like. It is the exact same as the 25 car. So, for those of you who haven't seen yet, that is what the 26 Alpine looks like. Just a bit smaller car, but the livery's the exact same. It's actually more identical. Oh yes, Rio, you can join. Let me invite you to the lobby. But yeah, as I was mentioning, Sci-Fi Mega Hype with the current day Alpine. The Ferrari looks pretty identical, except the white bit has moved to a different shape. Still looks bad. NMX James, though, goes quickest with a 15.970. And Rio, if you're listening, join the comms channel on the Discord, as NMX James with a 15.9 has yet to register a pole position this season, despite leading the championship by 44 points. Man is a race merchant, as they would say. RJ seems to be on a slow lap. We've got Northy starting a lap, or is he finishing a lap? I think he is no, he is finishing one. And P14 is, who's that improved? Ashton retires in the box, I believe. I feel like someone improved there.
It wasn't RWJ, was it?
I think Ashton just retired on track. This is a bit weird.
Oh, hello.
I'm a bit confused. Welcome in, Rio. We're here in Tier 3, Round 9, Mexico. James leads the championship by 44 points ahead of Raheem, and currently sits in pole position by 12 thousandths of a second. Yet to register a pole this season, but this could be his opportunity.
Well, I hope he will. He's championship leader for a reason, isn't he? As he comes, I thought I was him starting a lap then, but no, it's his teammate. I think actually starting a lap into turn number 1, but is maybe Zampa beginning a lap, and the Aston Martin of Creamy Flaps on a out lap as well. Then it's maybe the Williams of Northy. No, not improving. Racing Bulls of A54. No. Is anyone on a bloody lap? I think Raheem might be. He would have 10.5 down come at the end of the middle sector, but
yeah,
I think he may well backed out of it.
Raheem appears to be struggling a lot in qualifying. He had such great quali pace at the start of the season, but I don't know what has happened to Raheem as of recent. He just seems to be struggling, and he's down in P13, which is really uncharacteristic. P2 in the championship, but currently nowhere near as things stand. He's going to go for another lap here, and hopefully this is the opportunity for Raheem to get up the order. But currently, as things stand, we are
anyone 2.5 tenths up.
Yeah, anyone could really be on for pole here, as you mentioned, RJ. Improving by 2 tenths. If he nails the final sector, you never really know. The gap between P1 and P7 separated by 3 tenths. Creamy Flaps, I believe, was a 10th up on his lap through the middle sector, as we see RJ come up to the line and improves by 2 thousandths. I think he made a little mistake out of the final corner. Creamy Flaps has made a mistake in the middle sector, because he's now a 10th down on his time, but maybe has some time in the final sector. We'll see. Does the Aston Martin driver improve at all here? Currently in his best qualifying position of the season, and will stay P6 as of now. Got Sci-Fi starting a lap. DZ Racer, who has 2 poles this season, down in P7, but anyone realistically could improve.
Zampa's just pile driving to the pit wall.
Interesting. As Raheem now is 2 tenths the good, but you'd expect so much more from Raheem. Unless he's got like he had a really bad final corner in one of his runs, as he's invalidated on the inside of the final corner, and Raheem is having an absolute nightmare here today. Won't even get a sniff of pole. He'll start outside the top 10. which leaves things very easy for NMX James. However, Ansu on a flying lap, I believe it said he was up by a tenth as we see him exit Sector 2. He's somewhat evens with his time, he's a hundredth down. But can Ansu nail the final corner? We've got such a close pack. Battling for pole position. Ansu's got a scruffy final sector here. And losing the rear to the final corner again. But can he get any improvement here? As Ansu up to pole position with a 15.92. And Ansu, who hasn't even really sniffed a top 8 this season, currently on pole position.
Billion Penguin was a 10th far better than Validated time, so they're definitely in the mix as well. You got about maybe 6, well, if you include DZ Racer, 7 drivers in the mix for pole here, as DZ Racer I believe is on another lap unless there is anyone else.
Yeah.
One of the silver arrows.
And a big mistake from DZ Racer, but I think he has kept it valid. We'll have to wait and see as he exits Sector 2 if he's lost a lot of time by doing that. He did completely miss the exit of corner, but he's still a 10th to the good, so if he nails the final sector, DZ Racer could be on for another pole here still. We did see Ansu struggle in the final sector and still got on provisional pole as DZ Racer. We did see have a lock up into turn 13, but as he rounds the final corner now, can the V-Carb go up to the top step? He does out to 15.7. NMX James round the final corner. Can the Ferrari do it? Crosses the line. Oh, it's pole for James. It's a 15.6. Where's Few? He's just starting a lap. Billion started another lap. Majin started another lap. It's Sci-Fi Mega Hype next across the line. Although he's invalid. RJ now around, but he's not improving. We've got Ash, who's next around the lap. Although I think Northie's the actual driver who's next on the lap. But who is going to get pole position? We don't even know here. NMX James could have his first pole of the season.
In turn 4 and 5, he's off. So Billion Penguin done and dusted in qualifying.
And Billion P3 in the championship needed a better qualifying performance than that. Meanwhile, Northie rounding the final corner. Can he get any improvement here? Up to P12. Solid improvement there from Northie. Ash, who has a 5-place grid penalty, whether or not it was unjust or not, well, we'll see after the race, but we can't really do much about it as Ash rounds the final corner now and up to P8.
Few is 4 tenths up in the Aston.
Oh, and Majin was 4 tenths up. Majin would have had pole, but is invalidated. But Few does get pole with a 15.5. The Aston Martin driver gets pole here, and I don't think there's anyone improving enough to take it off him.
Not DZ Racer, Ansu, sorry. But he's invalidated. He's just invalidated. No.
Oh, Ansu, though, still with a P4. That's his best qualifying performance of the season. Has found a lot of pace here in Mexico.
That's it.
But that is qualifying done. NMX James still, the pole eludes him, but I'm sure if he can wrap up the championship sooner than later, I'm sure he'll be happy enough without getting any pole positions. But Few will lead from pole as he's done, I believe, in Australia as well, if I'm not mistaken. But let me double check.
BAR's been pulled out.
Yeah, Billion, Ash, and Dobo are realistically the only people who can realistically catch James.
P2 in Australia.
James.
I made the pole graphics, didn't I?
You can find
I
it.
made the pole graphics.
James can't wrap up the championship today, but if he does win here and pull a big gap to Raheem, he will only need a couple more points in round 10 to seal the deal. So in the third final race, he could have the championship won as we head to Austin next time out. But there you have it. Few on pole. Creamy Flaps and Ash both with 5-place grid penalties. They were the drivers who had contact with each other as they were entering the pit lane. That's heartbreaking for Creamy Flaps because that's his
4 drivers, no laps.
That's his best qualifying performance of the season, as all 4 were serving quali bans, although well, actually, Nuki was not. He disconnected it and it retired him. Thori and Zampa, because they're reserving from higher tiers, they are automatically serving a quali ban, just for fairness.
It was Brazil that Few got pole.
Yes, which was the last race. But
Yeah.
oh yeah, I forgot. I need to tell the drivers when to ready up. So hopefully no one's clicked the A button already.
Or the X button. Or maybe a space bar or an enter bar.
I have done that
I just saw
accidentally
wasn't.
before. I went to the toilet, came back, sat down, and accidentally hit enter on my keyboard, and that readied up, and I didn't realize it did that. But
Get him banned. Get him gone.
I did get a qualifying ban, which was a bit heartbreaking, but oh well.
Oh no.
These
Anyways,
things
last
happen.
week.
But Scones in the chat, welcome in. Scones says top 6 looking really spicy, and you're absolutely right. There is going to be a very spicy race here. Thankfully, it's not raining like it was in Tier 2. So we'll see some DRS overtakes, and it should be very exciting.
You jinxed Tier 2 for tomorrow now.
Oh, well, Tier 2, it's just going to rain the whole season. It's going to be the season known as the wet season, because there has been one race this season where it didn't rain, and that was Qatar.
Baku as well.
No, but well, Baku, I would count it as raining because it rained in qualifying, which Baku should not be raining at all.
It rains in real life.
Scone says, I'm straight up refusing to race if it's wet. Did Miami not rain? I think Miami actually was dry. Yeah, Miami was dry.
No idea.
So 2 race weekends where it was dry in Tier 2, whereas Tier 3 hasn't had too many wet weekends. But welcome all into the stream. For those of you who haven't followed yet, please do. We are about to go ready in a minute's time, so make sure to grab yourself a drink, a snack, and we'll get ready for the 5 red lights very shortly. Rio, do you have any predictions for who might win this today?
I think James is going to DNF, and I think it will be his few converting his second pole from victory today.
Well, last time it was Nuki Lad who picked up his debut win, and I think it was with the driver of the day performance as well. He did get that, so you never know. Nuki Lad, who's starting, I think, P14, 15, 16, roughly around there, could still wind his way up. We've got a lot of quick drivers at the back. The bottom 4 are going to be rapid and will be charging their way through the field, so we'll keep an eye on them towards the end. But at the same time, that top 7 very rapid as well. So it's going to be exciting to see, as the drivers should be readying up now, and we will get ready for 36 laps around the Mexican circuit. I would say it's a 2-stop. What would you say, Rio?
Yeah, 2-stop. Undercut is worth 2 seconds here. And I learnt the hard way that 1 stop is not the way to go. I mean, it depends. If you can make it work, then like you need to. I mean, when I was managing,
we will see as we will have the 5 red lights on here in Mexico, as Few will lead us down into turn 1. NMX James has got a decent start, but Few pulls ahead of him. DZ Racer, though, has got an even stronger start than the Ferrari driver, and already on the rear of the Aston as we're heading down into turn 1, and DZ Racer almost clipped around by the Ferrari and somehow hangs onto the car. That was a massive snap. Someone's gone round. It's Ansu. Heartbreak for the Red Bull as Northy down the order. There's a lot of ghosted cars here in the pack. There's billions around as RJ making his way up the field. Nuki Lad is somehow in P7 already. What? 3 wide we are at turn 4. Nuki Lad battling with the Red Bull of Thori. Thori up to P8. They've had a monster start here as there's a lot of contact in the background. Raheem in P12. Zampa down in P15 trying to battle his way through as Ashton on his debut battling with Creamy Flaps, who backs out in this battle. But what a chaotic start there. So many position changes. And what a start it was for Nuki Lad. Up to P7 off the start. He might be up 9 or 10 positions there. As
made up 8 positions on the race start.
As Ashton losing out to Creamy Flaps, Zampa on the inside of the Williams as they go side by side through the final sector here, and Zampa getting through on the Williams driver. Meanwhile, Few has started the second lap in the lead, but James charging into turn 1. Will he go for a send on the Aston Martin driver? I think he's going to wait until the DRS is fully enabled. It is enabled this lap, but they won't get use out of it until the exit turn 11 as DZ Racer already with a penalty here on lap 2.
Hello there.
Thank you for the follow, AZR Brandon. Welcome in. A fellow PFRL winner, as Rio was recently on Tuesday. As Thory gets ahead of Nuki Lad into P7 as they battle through turn 4. And Nuki Lad still looking on the inside of the Red Bull as Northy picks up his first penalty. I will say Mexico is definitely a circuit where it is very easy to pick up penalties, as Billion is already in for softs, which I would never touch in a million years, but you never know.
I mean, you think it's impressive that Nuki Boy's made up 7. Tory's made up 9. And we're not even at the end of the second lap yet. Tory from, what is it, 16th? He's up to 7th already. The Red Bull absolutely flying. But surely a change of race lead. There's a 40% battery difference, roughly, between the top 2. Up and around the final corner, which is very tricky. You just saw it evident from Charles Leclerc in 2024. But as we power down the main straight, surely a change of race lead is few. There's out of deployment, and it's going to be the championship leader to the outside and to the lead of the Grand Prix, where he has been so many times in this season 6 in Tier 3, and he's looking to get another win this year. But few will not go away that easily, as side by side between Zampa and the Aston Martin, as Zampa gets through into turn number 1.
Yeah, Zampa and Creamy Flaps were battling there throughout the lap as we were watching the battle for the lead there. And important to note, Lil Majin still sticking with this lead battle. DZ Racer just about in this DRS train. Sci-Fi dropping back a bit as Ash. I must say, considering he had that grid penalty, he's straight away recovered from the grid penalty. I believe he's starting around P10, now he's up to P6, so the Mercedes driver working his way into this lead train, as Thory is 2.5 seconds off Ash, so Thory's got to do some work to get through that clear air. Zampa on the rear of A54 as we exit turn 10. A54 all over the shop as Northy battling with Raheem, and Northy with a beautiful send on Raheem, and I just never thought I would see the day that Northy is now overtaking P2 in the championship. Love to see the improvement from Northy, as Raheem, it's the opposite side of the coin where he seems to be struggling the most. As Few now gonna look for a move potentially on James, but backs out too far behind as Raheem and Northy swap again, and Raheem now ahead as Nuki also ahead of Thory as well. In the background we've got Ashton dropping multiple positions. Oh, what's happened here? Contact with A54 and MB, and it just seemed like the V car just completely moved under braking there, from what I seen. And MB now continuing to battle as Nuki and RJ going at it. Thory as well. And Nuki gets ahead. RJ round the outside of Thory. And RJ doing well here to battle with Thory. And these RJ, one of the only drivers to start on the hard tires along with Ansu is Thory. Oh. Big contact in Thory off the track. And down the order goes Thory. And Raheem now.
Here's a little fact for you. Everyone apart from RWJ and 8 has not bit. Well, no, RWJ is the only driver who has stayed where they started, which is quite fascinating.
Seen a lot of swapping so far. Zampa gets ahead of Northy as Northy gonna try and use his DRS to potentially get back ahead. Meanwhile, Few on the rear of NMX James. Can he charge to catch the Ferrari driver? Just seems like he's out of battery. Doesn't seem to be conserving the battery well enough to get close to the Ferrari, as Ash has actually got through on Sci-Fi Megape, and Ash gets ahead now up into P5 for one of his strongest races here in Tier 3, as Northy still on the rear of MB. MB got ahead of Northy down the main straight there.
I'd say he's looking good here. Little margin in the top 4. Like the others, like the top 2 is level battery around 25%. Little margin. By the time we start the lap, I reckon he's currently on 75. He'll be around 90 to 100%. Little margin. He could be a dark horse here to make a double pass down the main straight in towards the turn 1, which is obviously the famous move, the most famous overtaking spot here in Mexico City, because of the very, very long DRS straight. Actually, Little Margin's got to be careful. He doesn't fall out of DRS, but as RWJ picks up a penalty, the dirty air will obviously affect Few more than it will affect Lil Margin because of how much closer Few is. But we could see a change of lead as a 10% difference as A54 and
Oh,
two side by side, and the
no!
Aston's around and the front wing's gone. The Aston Martin pulled out to the inside and spinning the car around, but the race leaders to do battle towards turn number 1. Few is gaining, but he will not be close enough to make a move in the turn number 1, and and as his teammate spins off into the wall, Few gets ever so closer to the rear of James for the lead of the Grand Prix as Nuki Boy and RWJ are side by side, and Nuki Boy does get back through to put RWJ back to where he started the Grand Prix as Creamy Flux and Ansu's backwards in the pit lane.
Backwards? Oh no. Ansu's spun before the final corner. You're going to get disqualified, Ansu, if you don't move. He may get disqualified. I'm surprised he's not got disqualified at this point. Well, he's survived a disqualification. As Billion back in the box, and that is going to hurt his race a lot. Billion going onto the hard tires now, and he's actually close to being lapped. Is P3 in the championship. This has gone so ideal for NMX James so far. Within 6 laps, both his championship rivals are completely dead in the water here, and he's just got to really worry about who he's battling with at the moment, as Zampa and Raheem going to battle through the final sector as Majin in early. And you did mention how important the undercut would be in this race, and Majin committing early. And I really hope Majin has 2 sets of hards to use, because I think the hards are by far and away the stronger tyre on this track, as Raheem gets a 10-second speeding in the pit lane penalty, and his race has gone from bad to worse. Qualifying really struggled, and now that 10-second penalty is going to really hurt his race. And it seems like both championship rivals of NMX James need a safety car here already on lap 7 if they want to get anywhere close to the lead. And James, he just has to stay in the podium places, I think, and James will outscore them massively here.
I just think that's too early to go to the 2-stop. The minimum pit window, it is between lap 6 to 10 for the 2-stop, but you've got to make the hards last for at least lap 20 now. He's made himself do 14 laps minimum on this to then do 16 laps minimum as the 2 race leaders, maybe going side by side towards the end of the stadium section. Now James went defensive there, maybe trying to do a bit of DRS gains, but they can't be slowing each other down. They've got to make sure they are well working together to defend against this undercut by Lil Margin, who is currently tucked up behind A54, and a few our pole sitter does react. DZ Racer will continue on, so James and DZ Racer will continue on. Few will react as Lil Margin does get by into the stadium section. And the question is, where will Few come out in comparison to Lil Margin? You lose around 20 seconds here in Mexico City, as around the final corner we go with Lil Margin, up and around, powering down the main straight we go. Where is Few? He can get the power down now, but he has been undercut by the Mercedes driver. And now, crucially, he wants to get ahead of the Racing Bulls as we go down the main straight on board with A54, and he is just behind. He's maybe going to try and make a move on the inside, but no. Few has got the DRS to maybe try and use that to close back up to Lil Margin, but Lil Margin now into the net race lead.
Yeah, and DZ Racer spins while trying to stay with NMX James, and he picked up another time penalty as well, cutting some corners, so DZ Racer just pushing too hard to try and stay with the lead here. As in the background we see RJ rear sliding as we're here on lap 8, and RJ's tyres should be working well as Nuki Lad up in P5. He's having a strong stint so far, but I think if Lil Majin and Few both have another set of hards to go on after this one, they should be still in the clear. I'm just worried about the drivers who have to do a medium hard medium or medium hard, as NMX James is coming in this lap, and DZ Racer would have lost a lot of time following his spin, and also those additional time penalties as Ash comes in. DZ Racer going to stay out, and I don't think that's the right move at this stage, because he will have overheated those tyres following that spin. And in Mexico it is tricky to get the tyre times back down again once you make a mistake, as Zampa following MB, and down into turn 1, can the McLaren driver get ahead of the Cyber? Gonna pull to the inside and get comfortably ahead even before the braking zone. Meanwhile, Nuki has got ahead of RJ, but RJ on the hard tyres, we'll see what he can do, although that time penalty will hurt RJ in the end here. But
I think what DZ Racer's got to do, his race is ruined. He's got 6 seconds of penalties, and we're not even at the 10th lap of the Grand Prix yet. May as well gamble a one stop to try and just save yourself those 20 seconds. But because of that spin, the lead train or the net lead train are only 7.7 seconds away. Without that spin, what would they be like? Probably an extra 10, 11 seconds ahead of them. Though I think he's just got to gamble it now. I think it's too late to come in because now of course Ash is pitted as well. So I think Ash might actually be maybe net P4 in this Grand Prix, which will be a mega result for the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, and as the race progresses, Nuki Lad's starting to close up to DZ Racer. Is either of them going to box as Zampa picks up a time penalty here? Just going to hurt his race. Nuki just progressively starting to catch DZ Racer, but not close enough to really making a move. As Thori now on the rear of RJ. Earlier, these two had contact exiting turn 7, I believe it was. As Thori now down into turn 1, and Thori ahead of RJ. RJ still keeping a wheel in though, wants to keep this together, and RJ with a lovely move back ahead of the Red Bull. And RJ now trying to head back after Nuki Lad if he can, as Zampa now has joined the battle between the Red Bull as well. As Few and Lil Majin now battling into turn 4, but Majin keeps it ahead, and now they've joined this train, and this is the frustrating part. The drivers ahead are not receiving blue flags. They haven't boxed yet, so they do not have to get out of the way. So Majin has got to cut his way through this pack as best as he can. NMX James is a second off this train, and he'll quickly join it with how slow the medium runners are currently moving. We've got MB making a little mistake. He lets through Majin. He lets through Few as well. Quite strange to see him do that, but hey ho.
But this is like watching a multi-class race now. But all the tyre difference, there's like 2 different classes. This is what makes races interesting, when 2 different types of cars are in complete world of their own. And look at the traction Lil Majin got on the final corner, powering down the main straight. Almost tyre hooking, and Zampa went to go squeeze the Mercedes, or maybe going to try to cover the inside. But Zampa draining the battery pack, I think, as well. As down towards turn number 1 we go. The Mercedes is side by side, but now roars past the McLaren and up into P5. And Few will be next up.
Oh, Few caught Zampa napping.
Good move. A little bit of contact there.
Majin gets through
on RJ in the traction. Now Few's going to have a look around the outside, pulling around the outside with no battery left. He gets through as well. Now they've only got 1 car left of this train, and then they've already dispatched it within a matter of corners. Probably by the time they get to turn 1 next lap, they would have already been through, as the Ferraris are side by side, and James dives on the inside. That's not optimal there for the Ferrari. That's probably put James just out of DRS. It has put James, championship leader, out of DRS now. As Zampa lost out majorly in that, and MB in the Sauber. As Zampa has a moment, and that's going to allow the kick Sauber through. As Zampa's actually done a full 360 there for the McLaren driver, a full 360 around, which is actually quite satisfying to watch there. As Lil Majin, there's DZ Racer spun again. DZ Racer around again. As we go into the stadium section, Ash now picks up a 3-second penalty, and Few's now looking on the rear as we go on the exit of the stadium section. And look at this, the top 5 all in the same picture as we go down the main straight. Majin's looking on the inside, almost contact with the rear wing of Tori as we go down the main straight, and it's going to be a 2-for-1 pass as Lil Majin to the inside, almost contact free abreast down the main straight towards turn number 1, pass 2. Is it the double bubble for the Mercedes man, pulling to the inside, side by side with the Red Bull Tori, who hangs it right around the outside. And that's a lovely bit of defensive driving by Tori. But now on the traction, on the exit of turn number 3, down the main straight, down the straight towards turn number 4 we go. And this is where Verstappen and Hamilton almost came together in the real life Grand Prix. Lil Majin to the inside, diving down the inside in similar fashion to Codematic in tier 2, running outside now for turn 6, and now it is Lil Majin into the lead of the Grand Prix. Is Few hanging it on the inside, or would then be the outside for the upcoming left-hander, but he gets through as well. As now NX James is looking around the outside.
Oh, big contact
with Tori, as Tori gets sent spinning away, and that could be something for the stewards to look at after the race. Lil Majin now leads from Few, then James, then Nuki Boy, Tori, and then MB and DZ Racer. What a couple of laps that is, as wide goes the Sauber of MB as we make our way towards the stadium section. MB will just keep the place of ahead of DZ Racer, but the race leaders are about to do battle once again. 5 seconds, half a second, as around the final corner, down the main straight we go for the 13th time in this Mexico City Grand Prix. As towards turn number 1 we go, he's gaining, but it's just the battery just always lets few down. As we're making our way towards turn number 1, is he going to be close enough for a lunge to the inside? He's thinking of it, and he's going to look, but just not doesn't think of it as little margin. Maybe to try, maybe another move just to try and throw him off. But Arrow, what a couple of laps that was of racing.
Yeah, and somehow we were watching the top 3 navigate their way through the pack, and they've all somehow did it successfully without any damage. And NMX James now has the best tyres out of the drivers here, and has joined the pack now. He'll be inside DRS range, and even though he's currently in 3rd, he will be looking like the favourite on those strongest tyres at the moment. But can he work his way through on Few or Lil Majin? We have seen Few really struggle with battery management here. He seems to have absolutely dumped the battery even before he gets the DRS opened at every straight. But maybe this could be an opportunity as we're about to start lap 14. NMX James closing as there's a yellow flag out for Billy and Penguin, and Billy having an absolute nightmare race. And James, regardless if he finishes P1, 2 or 3, will gain massively in the championship if things finish as they do now. As Few gonna look to try and catch Lil Majin with the DRS open here, but can James even look on the rear of the Aston Martin driver? But no move into turn 1. Ansu trying to shape for a move on the rear of the Mercedes, but the Mercedes not going to be spooked off the line here, as a couple of drivers into the pit lane, finally off the mediums to go on to hards. But how late are they going to try and take those hards is a question that will be asked. Meanwhile, I feel like it's still a little bit early to be one-stopping. I mean, it's doable, but it's going to be a tricky stint, as we see DZ Racer exit behind his teammate. But
I think the wing level, Lil Margin's running. Lil Margin, it's evident, he's got the raw pace in this section, so maybe he's able to run some lower downforces wide when Few towards the same section. But yeah, Lil Margin probably just running a bit lower wings, which is helping me out a lot on the main straight, but obviously it will affect him minorly through this section. But even 2 clicks, it can still be massive, especially down the main straight. If it's 2 clicks less, it will be helping him out an extra probably 2 kph, which will nullify that DRS on board with the Aston Martin. But towards turn 1 once again, the battery on Few's side will not be helping him as well, as James is going to think of a move in towards turn 1. He's gaining, and this is going to be like F2 v F1. It's on the inside, and in a straight fight there is nothing, but in the cornering fight there is something for Few. Laying on the brakes around the outside, it'll be the inside for 2, the outside for 3, around the outside, a little bit of contact there as James gets a little bit out of shape. Yeah, this will be helping Lil Margin all the while as James is gaining. He might think of a lunge to the inside in turn 4 like we saw Few do on Tory a couple of laps ago, but no, thinks better of it and doesn't want to lose touch with the race leader of Margin, who on those oldest hard combat tyres, pace is pretty strong, isn't it?
Yeah, we're seeing a couple of battles here as well between Thory, and Thory's gone very deep. He's allowed MB through, makes a mistake there, turn 1, and Thory down to P11 as A54 now trying to put pressure on the Red Bull driver. But this top 3 seems to have completely gapped the drivers in behind, as MB getting through on Northy at turn 4, and Northy, who went very early on his initial hard stint, now has been caught by the potential one-stoppers of MB, Thory and DZ Racer, is joining this battle. A54 definitely going to box again, but on to which tyre? As Few still trying to catch Majin. NMX James, though, seems to have more straight line speed than Few. We see around halfway down the straight that Few's running out of battery, and NMX James may look for a send down into turn 1. Few, though, defending, goes very deep, almost. Oh my word, goes for a move on Majin, makes a big error, big contact with the Mercedes, shapes up exiting turn 3, and Few may get ahead of Majin here in suspicious circumstances as he cuts off the braking zone of the Mercedes driver. And I'm not quite sure that was a very fair move from the Aston Martin, but he has got through into the lead, kind of barging the Mercedes out of the way. Was not expecting that move from Few, but he has pulled it off, as James in behind watching along as well, as the yellow flag out, and it's Ansu, who's unfortunately had a nightmare after having such a strong qualifying.
sorry, James did look for a move Max Verstappen-esque there, and he looked for a move on the inside and the entry to the S's, as look at the pace that Few's now showing. He's now gapping these lot, as James was maybe thinking of moving to the stadium section. The gap is 9/10. A little margin goes in a bit deep as well. Has that just cost him DRS? Yes, I might have. A gap just ticked over to a second, and now Lil Margin will be under pressure. Has he got DRS? He has. Oh, just. It must have been at least like 400s here, but James has maybe got the better top speed in comparison to Lil Margin. Down the main straight we go, and there'll be no move doing, and Lil Margin will be able to retain P2 as there is a yellow for, I think, A54 now. The other Racing Bulls is having a tumble, as both of them struggling for rear grip, it seems, in this Mexico City Grand Prix. As look how close James got to the rear on the exit of turn 3, gaining in the slipstream down towards turn 4. We'll think of a lunge, but won't go for the lunge into turn 4, and it will be...
I'll be looking for the switchback out of turn 5, but Margin does well to defend. You've also missed there that Few picked up a 3-second time penalty, so that could play a factor in this race. A reminder that Few, though, has the lap fresher hards than Margin, but NMX James has a lap fresher hards than Few, so if NMX James can get ahead of Margin on the next lap with DRS and latch onto the rear of Few, then James could still be in a very strong position here, but Few continues to build this gap, then potentially Few could pick up his first win in WHF. We'll have to wait and see, as the Ferrari all over the rear of the Mercedes drivers trying to defend here, but he's losing so much time to the Aston Martin ahead. But can James get a good exit out of the final corner? And he has got a really good exit there, but with DRS and ERS, does he have the straight line speed to get out of the Mercedes? Margin's almost lost a second to Few in one lap alone, as DZ Racer picks up another penalty this race, having an absolute torrid time. All the championship rivals of NMX James have completely faltered in this round, as James now gets ahead of Lil Margin. He'll get another dose of DRS exiting turn 3. Can he use that to latch onto the rear of Few, or will Few be able to build a gap and escape that penalty threshold that he currently has after picking up a 3-second penalty? Meanwhile, Sci-Fi Mega Hype losing out to Nuki Lad, who a reminder could be on the one stop, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. MB swapping with RJ down the main straight as well. But can NMX James catch Few, or will Few continue to build this gap? It'll be important to see. It does seem like NMX James and Lil Margin both running lower wings than Few, and now that Few finally has some clear air, we're seeing him through the middle sector build some of a gap, as Margin now desperately trying to hold on to the Ferrari of James, as Zampa getting ahead of DZ Racer. And DZ Racer, who was up in P4 at a moment in this race, unfortunately has had a couple spins and now down to P12. But I wouldn't say Nuki Lad's completely out of this. I think he's one of the favourites of the drivers doing the one stop. Doesn't have any penalties as things stand. Meanwhile, Margin's lost DRS to James. James lost DRS to the Aston Martin, so we've now finally got some gaps here up at the front. And can Few continue to build from James? It seems James is catching in the straight, but through the middle sector, Few is building that gap, as Nuki Lad now getting through on Raheem into P5. And we'll keep an eye on the Cyber's progress as Sci-Fi Mega Hype into the box.
He's not within the pit window. I think it'll be. It's tight. It's around 20 to 20 seconds including the pit stop. So Nuki Boy will either be behind or literally side by side as A54 retires in the pit lane. I thought that was going to be a potential safety car, but James, I think, might have a chance here into the stadium section now to get back in the DRS.
Yeah, we just see DZ Racer as well get ahead of Thory, but then through turn 2 picks up another penalty, and DZ Racer falling victim to now 12 seconds of penalties. He's just had an absolute nightmarish race here so far, as Raheem trying to stick with Nuki Lad, but I think Nuki Lad has just too much pace on those hard tyres, as A54 having another struggle in this season. Hasn't really had any strong notable races. As RJ makes a big error trying to stick with MB, and that mistake is going to allow MB to now build a bit of a gap as Margin comes in, and he's gone for another set of hards. Good to see that he does have them available, although he'd only done around 13 laps on those hard tyres, so now he has to do 16 on this next set of hard tyres, and his first set of hard tyres were struggling. So how are these next set going to hold up? Meanwhile, Few and James are going to be thinking about that. Do they want to box this lap to cover off the undercut here? We will keep an eye on the 2 leaders. James almost inside DRS range as Few trying to pull that gap, but these two are so close. And the closer James keeps this gap, the better, because that time penalty will cost Few in the end. But Few still keeping him out of the gap, but we're so close here. Can James get DRS activated on this lap? It'll certainly help him as we progress on, as Zampa's left the session. Not quite sure why. I'll get Zampa in after we see if the Ferrari does get DRS. I don't believe he has it. As Rio should be inviting you now, Zampa, as James still does not have DRS, but he does have better straight line speed, so maybe he can close the gap. That'll give him the advantage on the following lap as Thori gets ahead of Zampa, who's still waiting to rejoin us here. And James on the rear of Few. And Few gets a much better exit at turn 3, and this is what's key this battle, as Majin getting through on Raheem. And Majin, has he gone too early under those hard tyres? We will have to wait and see. As DZ Racer now on the rear of the Ferrari. And Zampa back in.
Just the pit windows in the 2 stop. If you can make it to lap 22, you should be fine. If you can make it to lap 23, you can just hammer the tyres, push the whole way. Which I think this is what these two in front are going to try.
A story down the inside of RJ, and he's absolutely sent him off the track. Oh, and DZ Racer turns into the Ferrari. We've got 3 wide everywhere, and it's a complete mess through the first sector here. Thori comes out the worst down to P10. RJ's held on to P8 as DZ Racer got a big crunch on his front wing, but has survived. I don't think anyone has picked up damage there, as both leaders now into the box, and we'll keep an eye on Majin where he exits. He'll definitely have the lead here, but how big will the gap be? And also a reminder, he's got to manage his hards a bit more than the 2 leaders here as the yellow flag's out. It's DZ Racer again having another spin as Majin sets the fastest lap. A heartbreak again as
close.
Majin gets out ahead of James, but Few still takes the lead. Is actually overcut the Mercedes, and this could really hurt the Ferrari, because the Ferrari now is caught behind 2 cars on older tyres ahead.
That is perfect timing by the Aston Martin crew to bring him in, get the fresh tyres on, and now there's a 9-lap offset, a little margin. And James, I can say, stuck up behind this Sauber for at least one time in the S section, but Yuki Boy seems to be hanging on there. At the minute, a few guys a bit deep in the turn 7 complex.
Seems to be struggling to fire up the tyres as there's a yellow flag out again. It's DZ Racer again out of turn 1. He's just having an absolute nightmare here today. Things are not going his way as Nuki Lad still holding on a DRS range, and this is helping Few, as Few does try and get his tyres into the right window, but can Majin and James stay with Few? This is the question, as Nuki Lad, if he gets DRS again here, it could be pivotal, as a yellow flag around, and it's Ansu this time, as
Nuki Boy lost
Ash comes in. Nuki Boy's lost DRS. Majin now has got to get ahead of the Sauber as early as possible and head after the Aston. And Nuki Lad doesn't seem to be putting up too much of a fight, as the Ferrari of James now down into turn 1. The Sauber stays ahead of the Ferrari now. And can Majin stick with Few? Few has 2 laps fresher hards. This is key here in the race. James still trying to get ahead of the Sauber of Nuki Lad, and he looks on the inside of turn 4 and he goes for the move on the Sauber, and the Sauber doesn't put up too much of a fight here. And now Ansu retires from in the pit lane, and you can't really blame him. It's just a nightmare day for the Red Bull, as James still pushing to catch Nuki Lad, as DZ Racer also retiring for the pit lane. I mean, he was still inside the points, but can you really blame him after what had been his 4th spin of the day, as NMX James still has DRS range from Majin, but Majin's lost touch of Few, and this could be exactly what Few needs to build the gap that he has for the penalty. James, I believe, in the background leaving the track, but not picking up a warning or he may have picked up a warning as NMX James now rounding the final corner, and can he use DRS to slingshot himself onto the rear of Few as Majin sets the fastest lap? But even with setting the fastest lap, he still is losing time to Few here.
When did Few get a penalty?
A couple laps ago. A late braking move from NMX James as he goes side by side with the Mercedes of Majin, and Majin leaving him the room, and these two battle side by side exiting turn 3, and them being side by side for so long has lost them a heap of time to Few as Zampa gets ahead of RJ, and James now on the rear of Majin.
Very good race in that. Through turns 1, 2, and 3 between Lil Margin and James. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see this RG just forcing each other wide like you see a lot in real life as Billy and Penguin. So this is forcing today in Mexico City, but all this battling between Margin and James just going to be costing them time this whole time, and Few will be in a world of its own, and surely soon he might be able to break that 3-second penalty threshold. I think he will definitely break it to Lil Margin. It's just, will James be able to take the win because of it, or will Few be able to have the raw pace throughout the rest of the Grand Prix? We'll find out in like 13 laps time, as who's actually in the pit lane? Billy and Penguin probably going to retire from this race. If I wouldn't surprise me, but obviously I think it's guaranteed points now, isn't it? As James in the slipstream, pulling out to the inside, and finally they're waved on by James, the championship leader, looking to be the race leader. James through into second place, and he is the net race leader, and the championship leader's looking to put himself in prime to take the championship. Is he able to take it this race? I'm not actually sure.
No, if things end as is, James is literally a couple points away in the next race. Because Raheem and Billy have had such a bad outing, if James wins this race, he will literally be around 6 points or so away from the championship next race. So James has just got to manage the gap, make sure Few doesn't escape him. But this is the issue. They're on the same tyre wear as things stand, and even before they came into the pit lane there, Few was building a little bit of a gap to James. So does James have the pace to stick with the Aston Martin driver, who does have that penalty? We will have to wait and see. He also has Majin, who's a bit of a pest at this moment, who's still hanging onto the rear of the Ferrari. And does Majin have DRS? I'm not quite sure. Struggling on the 2 laps. Older hards here. But Majin still on for the podium nonetheless, but does have DRS, so we'll be able to stick with the Ferrari for a couple laps long. We've got 10 laps remaining, and the battle for the win and the podium still rages on. Both James and Majin currently are in net P1 and 2, but will that keep up? We will see. Few with clear air trying to build this gap, and it's just about persistence here for the last 10 laps. Who can push while keeping the tyres in perfect condition in order to keep the pace? Meanwhile, James has made around half a second in Sector 1, so Few maybe pushing a bit too hard on those hards, and James now starting to make his way back up to the rear of the Aston. Can Few gap him through the middle sector?
Very high chance for that.
As Majin now still desperately trying to hold on to DRS, pushing and giving it everything to stick with the Ferrari driver. And James, or Few, has built around another half a second back through the middle sector, so I think it's quite clear. James running very low wings, Few running very high wings, and that's what we can see. As Majin again has DRS, still sticking with the Ferrari driver. And if Majin at any point goes for a send on James, it could immediately drop James out of the penalty threshold of Few. So James is going to be a little bit annoyed the Mercedes is still in his wing mirrors at this stage of the race. It's now, the gap is at 2.5 as Story comes in for his final pit stop onto hard tyres. He's gone very late onto the hards, I'd have to say, 9 laps. He'll be able to push comfortably to the end as Zampa on the rear of Ash. Ash into P6 now. And he's got 2 Cybers ahead of him here, 1 stopping it seems, of Nuki Lad and MB. both did not compete in qualifying, but are inside the top 5 in a very strong race for them. Can Ash catch them by the end here? We will wait and see as Thori exits the box behind Raheem in P10 as a yellow flag. Who's that one for?
I think it might have been the... he's off again.
I think it was Ashton, and he's just letting through the leaders following the blue flags. I'm not quite sure if he did make a mistake or he was just letting them through.
James made a mistake. That gap's now 2.4, 2.5. Lost 6 tenths on this lap.
Yeah, and Majin now still holding onto the rear of the Ferrari. And half a second is the gap that Few needs. James still holding on here. But how long can he persist? We will wait and see as we'll now look down to the battle between the Red Bull as Thori picks up another penalty. I think that's now Thori with 6 seconds as he tries to catch Raheem. And Thori leaving the track again. As he follows along the McLaren. Meanwhile, RJ into the box, gone very late. He's on the mediums until the end. They'll comfortably last to the end, and he should exit, I would say, maybe ahead of Creamy Flaps and be able to push on the mediums to the end as Thori getting round the outside of Raheem and into P9 as Lil Majin with a 3-second time penalty. And now NMX James not only may have the win here, but now Lil Majin may be looking at best for a P3 as he seems to have lost DRS now from the Ferrari as Few continuing to build this gap, but it's so incremental lap on lap. He now just needs 2 tenths to get out of the penalty threshold as Majin, or a Billion Penguin picks up a penalty and he's having a nightmarish race. But it's been absolute dreamland for the Ferrari of NMX James as things stand.
There's a team that have an absolute horror show, and that is Racing Bulls, a double DNF. So there is 0 points scored for them. Few, they're pretty consistent. Few and James with a little margin. Maybe he has to now back off just to manage those hard combat tires because he did he did pit a lot earlier. I don't know why I said Spark. I just got a notification saying my mate Spark on TikTok.
As the Ferrari doing well to hold on to Few. They're still on the same tyres, but at any point Few could pull a gap here. Meanwhile, Raheem on much older tyres than Thori, but Thori with the 6 seconds of time penalty. So if Raheem can hold on to this, and maybe Thori can drag him along to catch the likes of Sci-Fi Mega Hype up the road and help Raheem get an additional position that will limit the damage done. But as things stands, it looks like NMX James will be a race away from being crowned Tier 3 champion here. If things finish as is and he wins again here in round 9, he'll be... let me try and do the quick math. I think it is... I think it might be 8 points because you got to include the fastest lap point. It might actually be a bit bigger. But you got to include the fastest lap and the pole point as well. Yeah. So I think it probably, I'm going to guess 12 points he needs, which I don't think James has finished off the podium this season. So it seems inevitable for the Ferrari to be the Tier 3 champion. Whether or not he wins here in Mexico is a different story as Few constantly building that gap through the middle sector. James does catch through sector 1, but now the gap is almost at 3 seconds with 6 laps to go here. Can James stick with the Aston Martin driver? Will Few pick up his first win in WHF? We've had a lot of drama in this race. I'm sure the stewards will be busy after all the action. But it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. Gap at 2.9.
That gap is bubbling. Yeah,
it is.
That gap's bubbling around it.
It is very close as things stand. And if for those of you in the chat, if you're listening, now is a great time for predictions. Who do you think is going to win this one? It's so close between James and Few, and it could go any way.
usually when I predict someone, the person I predict to do well spins. Like, remember back in Texas, I predicted Todd to do well, and he completely got murdered in Texas turn 1. I predicted Feud to win today, and it's got a good chance to happen for once.
Well, hopefully we see... I mean, I want to say we see no more drama, but at the same time you do want to see some drama. As
Exactly.
Thori now getting ahead of Sci-Fi Mega Hype into turn 1. As Thori now into P8. Raheem doesn't have the tyres to hold on to Thori, as Thori now will try and chase after Zampa, but has 12 seconds is the gap, so it's going to be a bit of a slog in order to do that.
As we speak, I'm currently making the results thing, just expecting people to stay where they are.
That's always a risk. We've seen Fabrizio Romano do that in real life, and it's not been working out well for him as of recent. He, as Zampa picks up a 3-second time penalty. A couple matches over the last month or so, he'll post the scoreline, and then in multiple different...
I think that was Chelsea bloody Charlton.
Yeah, in multiple different results, there's been a late goal, so he's had to delete the post and upload another one. I don't get why he can't just wait until the full-time whistle before posting it. Like, it makes no sense. And
the first user reporter to get any word on the game, I guess.
Yeah, it's a bit stupid. But anyway, Animex James has built a bit of a gap back again, but again, we mentioned through the middle sector that Few has the advantage. And can Few pull any time through the middle sector here? And how are these drivers' hard tyres getting on at this stage is important to note. We've reached 10 laps on these hards.
No, should be crying.
Yeah, Majin had an opportunity here. I think he made a mistake, honestly, by boxing too early. He did try the undercut in both attempts, but in the end, those... 2 lap older hards has just caused them to fall further and further back. However, he should have P2 or P3 in the bag. Nuki Lad seems to be a good distance off. Meanwhile, Ash continuing to catch MB and Nuki Lad, but I don't know if he'll have enough time to get over, overtake them and pull the penalty gap as well. Despite being on fresher hards, it's going to be still tricky to do.
I really hope Few can get the gap, get his maiden win after getting his he got his maiden pole last time out in Brazil, got another pole here in Mexico City after I think it was say one of the best qualifying of the season, and now he's looking strong to be able to get his first win as somehow Torian Zampa. Well, side by side, no, Zampa's into the box for a set of softs.
Yeah, Zampa wants the fastest lap. For Pride at this point, as this battle continues on. It's finally at 3 seconds as we exit the middle sector, and with only 3 laps to go, can Few maintain this gap as there's a yellow flag out? I think for Billion letting through some cars because he is unfortunately lapped. But James has now got to push with all his might to hold on to this win. As Few thinking about the same, James is caught around half a second down the main straight. But at the same time, though, how much time is he losing through the corners is the question. He's lost 2 tenths through turns 1, 2 and 3. Just showing you Few definitely running a much higher downforce setup. And can James hold on long enough is the question.
I hope so. I think.
Since we last mentioned, Ash has caught a second to MB and Nuki Land, but it won't be quick enough. He needs to be catching at a much more rapid rate if he wants to get as high as P4. So it looks like the Cyber pair who are reserving for today are going to have a very strong race doing their one-stop strategy. The only issue it would be if they're in puncture territory, which I hope they're not, because that would be a really sad way to end what has been a very strong race for them, as Creamy Flaps gets ahead of RJ into P11. And the Aston Martin driver here trying to get inside the top 10 if he can, as Northey picks up a 10-second spin in the pit lane penalty, possibly going for the fastest lap, but he may have cost himself a position to Ashton here, because even if he does exit ahead, that penalty will cost him. So it may have been a little mistake from the Williams driver, as we're here on the penultimate lap of the race. James still inside the penalty threshold, as Few hasn't been able to really pull the gap as he would have liked, but he still has some pace in the tank. It's been so close for the last number of laps as RJ picks up another 3-second time penalty as the yellow flag's out. And is that one of the Cybers? That might be one of the lap car letting through. I was about to get worried. A puncture was on the horizon for the Cybers as James now, the gap's at 2.3. Can Few pull any margin through the middle sector here? Zampa sets the fastest lap in the McLaren, as James now, when RJ's made a spin, and the Ferrari driver having an unfortunate end to this one. Meanwhile, his teammate James is having an absolute whale of a time. The gap's now at 2.2, and all James has to do now is stay inside that 3-second penalty threshold, and it'll be another win for Ferrari this season. And I don't even know how many wins it has been for James this season.
We shall have a look. I'll have a look for you.
But here on the final lap of the race, the gap is around 6/10. Can the Ferrari hold on to the gap? Meanwhile, MB
This will be win number 5.
and Nuki Lad are going to battle down into turn 1. Nuki Lad 23 lap old hards, MB 22 lap old hards as they battle down into turn 1. Battling over P4 here, Nuki Lad holding on to the position. MB has another use of DRS out of turn 3 as there's been a mistake for someone. It's the Ferrari of RJ again, I believe, as MB now down the inside of Nuki Lad. He's going to push him to the inside as he's going to try and send into turn 4. And these two continuing to go side by side. But Nuki Lad, who won last time out in Brazil, has been able to hold on to that position. Meanwhile, we enter the stadium section. The gap is around 2/10. Has Few got a monster final section in the bag? Is there potential as James is going to get a monster exit to the final corner and hold on to it? It's so close as Few crosses the line, but James crosses the line and wins by under a tenth. 66 thousandths was the gap as Lil Majin gets a podium here. MB and Nuki Lad are going to battle for P4 until the end here, but that was the closest battle we've seen for the win all season. And Nuki Lad now on the rear of MB, and Nuki Lad finishes in P4 as Northy crosses the line in behind as Ash gets P6, Thori in P7. We've got Raheem on the rear of Saifa, who will jump him because of the penalties. RJ does finish P12 with Ash in P13, Northy P14. Billion, his worst race of the season, you'd have to say, down in P15 as Raheem limiting the damage as best he can. P8 for the McLaren driver. Meanwhile, Creamy Flaps inside the top 10 for the first time this season. And I think he might get promoted to P9 with the likes of Thori and Zampa, who are just filling in for fun. They'll be removed from the results. So Creamy Flaps will finish P9 in the end, as Zampa is going very slowly to maybe do some donuts or something. I'm not quite sure what he's doing.
Who gets removed?
Thori and Zampa.
Oh, just put in the results. Oh, they can stay in the provisional results.
Well, I mean, they were in the actual race, but unfortunately they will be removed due to being drivers and tiers just reserving for today for a bits of shits and giggles. But there you have it. The Ferrari driver of NMX James wins again here and gets his 5th win of the season, as Rio mentioned, and he is a couple of points away from the championship. We'll try and see if we can do the results very quickly to see how far he is off the championship victory. But another win for the Ferrari, and that is going to be interesting to see Can he wrap up the title as we head Dakota next time out for round 10 of this 12-round calendar? As James in the chat says, bloody shit myself last corner. Lovely to hear, James. But as James lifts the trophy, I think we'll head on over to the interviews channel for some driver interviews.
Okay.
Driver of the day goes to Thori. Most overtakes goes to MB. As James, who I believe may even finish with the fastest lap, due to Zampa's fastest lap will be removed. So, yeah, James gets a bonus point for the fastest lap as well, which will really annoy some people, especially Raheem and Billion, who were battling in the championship with NMX James. But unfortunately, it seems like it's almost done and dusted, as we've got the race director in, hopefully in time. Somehow it'll... but let us see if the results have recorded correctly. Hopefully they have, as they seem to have, sort of, not really.
I've just looked on the Insta and someone said I smell a Northie win. Moments later, he's finished P13.
MB... Why is this so wrong? Ashton... Well, he's not even there. Right, I think that's the results. Let's see what that's done to the standings. We'll also add the fastest lap, which goes to James to annoy everyone. And let's see what that does to the standings, if we can get it up, as we'll try and see if... can you ping the drivers to see if they want to join for interviews?
Just ping to the free.
No, ping the podium, if you can. But let me see what that's from the standings. The gap now is at 60 points between James and Raheem, as we'll try and get this up on the stream so the viewers can have a look-see. But there you have it. James now on 201 points. Has won. Oh, this is actually, Hungary is a race where he didn't finish in the podium, so I lied when I says he has 100% podium rate this season, but only one race where he's finished off the podium wins again here in Mexico. Raheem in P2 in the championship had an awful race. Belligan had an even worse one, and Ash now with his P6 moves up to well, he's a point off Billion, so Ash could still sneak into the top 3 by the end of the season here, as Majan in P3 on track has had a very strong race, and he moves up to P6 following El Prat's nightmare evening. But let us see if anyone has joined. Oh, everyone's joined. I think we'll start the interviews with Lil Majan. You were battling strong throughout the entire race, but unfortunately in the end it seemed you had boxed a bit too early on the hard tyres, and they just seemed to fall off a bit too early and you dropped back. But how'd that race go for you nonetheless?
As you said, boxed a bit too early, and 3-second penalty kind of sealed the deal in the end.
But I think that's... let me look here. I think it's your second podium of the season. Can you take any confidence from that into the next 3 races?
Yeah, podium's always good to confidence for the next race.
And are you confident for Texas? Is it one of your strong tracks?
It's up there. It's probably top 5. We'll see.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll see you on the top step of the podium soon. As we'll move on to Few and Few. That must have been an antagonising race. In the end, you picked up that 3-second time penalty, but even with the 3-second time penalty, it looked like you might have the pace to pull the gap. In the end, 66 thousandths separate you from your first win in WHF. How frustrating was that one?
Yeah, very, very frustrating is not the word I'd used.
What is the word you use?
Yeah.
I think that tells the story. But nonetheless, you got a pole position. You were inches away from your first win. Do you think in Texas you can finally get the monkey off your back and finally get that first win?
Hopefully, yeah. It's one of my stronger tracks, so
Well,
yeah,
we're looking.
should have it.
We're looking forward to seeing it, and hopefully it'll be your first win. We're looking forward to seeing it. But congrats on the P2 nonetheless.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you.
As we'll move on to James, the man of the hour, 5th win of the season, and now has his championship lead at 60 points over Raheem with 3 rounds to go. James, do you think it's in the bag?
Well, to be honest, Texas isn't a great track for me. It's the worst track I race on. Get a lot of pens, but
Said this about
hopefully,
Mexico.
Huh?
You said this about Mexico.
I know, but I said that just to piss everyone off. No, but Texas is not a great track for me. But if it was Bahrain, that'd be a better track. But to be honest, I enjoyed these battles here today. A few bumps, but you get through it.
It was definitely a very fun one to
mean,
watch. Did you?
yeah.
How was it battling with Majin and Few? How stressful was that?
Well, to be honest, they kept me on my toes. That was the best battle I've had all season, to be honest. Ever since they came in, there's just been battle after battle with them.
Yeah, it was.
I enjoyed that.
It was a very exciting to watch. Rio, do you have any questions for the podium sitters as well?
I mean, I was going to ask whoever one of you said there. I don't think two of us. Because they in the middle part of the race, I think it was when you was on your middle stint. You came across a bunch of lap traffic, and I said to Arrow, it's like watching like Le Mans when you have like the hypercars come across the LMP2s and that. It's just like watching 2 different classes. Flash, was it fun overtaking the slower cars, gambling the one stop?
To be honest, it kind of pissed me off that they're slowing me down so much that I was losing time on Majin and fucking Few, so I had to get back, pack them as quick as I can. So I had to do a few late breaks, but got past them eventually.
Yeah, damn, that's a 10 grand fine for swearing. Give on.
Does that go into my pocket? Yes, I can quit my
Pretty
job.
definitely.
Can I get a raise then?
Oh, I can quit my job. Oh, thank God. And I'd say the same question to you as well. How was that dancing through the midfield as well?
Oh, it was yeah, a bit sketchy at times because we had one car that moved out the way graciously, and then another car was slowing me down a little bit, but
Yeah,
got
but that
past
car's
it all
boring.
eventually.
The one that moved
Yeah.
out of the way is boring.
Yeah, gentleman thing though.
Yeah, there's no gentleman thing in racing. Unless they are
Alright,
out down.
he sent me his PayPal, so it's fine.
Well, lads, that was one of the funnest races to watch this season. The gap separated by 66 thousandths, and James is your winner here in Mexico. And hopefully, when we head to COTA, we'll have another absolute barn burner. It's just a shame Few's joined so late on in the championship, because I think Few and James could have really had an exciting battle all the way through the season. But maybe in Tier 2 next season we may see that if yous are available on Saturdays. But
Yeah, should be.
we will start to raid someone on our way out. We'll try and see if we can raid Lando Norris just for bants.
Wait, what? Lando's live?
Yeah, we're going to raid Lando Norris, who's playing CSGO, and hopefully Lando gives a
What's
shout
Lando's
out.
Twitch?
Hopefully, it's Lando Norris. Hopefully Lando gives a shout out to We Have Fun. We'll see.
Quite anxious.
But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, please start follow. Also, follow Lando Norris just for bants, and also try and get him to shout us out, because we will clip the shit out of that. But anyway, thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week in COTA. And that's been everything from me and Rio, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye!